Last episode, Andy and I left Formentera, Spain for our 2-day passage back to mainland Spain. I gave you some of the nighttime updates during our voyage, which is where we left off. It's my first stint at the night watch. In this episode, we start here. It's the next day as we make it closer to landfall. Andy is rigging the whisker pole to attach to the Genoa. We're going almost dead downwind. The wind has dropped significantly from last night. After a rough night of sailing, our first night, we can see land for the first time in mainland Spain, here at Cape Palos. This afternoon has been peaceful like this, but we didn't get any sleep at all last night. So we've decided to stop for the night at Cartagena. It's a little town just around the corner here. But yeah, we were planning on 2 overnights. But since we did not sleep at all that first night because it was pretty intense, we decided we need to stop. And we're not in a big rush anyway, so we'll check out Cartagena for a couple of hours, and then tomorrow morning continue on. So I'll give you some shots if I can from the boat of this really cool coastal town.
So we left Formentera yesterday at 3 p.m. and predict wind, all the forecasts had, it was pretty much guaranteed between like 15 and 20 knots directly from behind, and I think about 1 to 1.5 meters swell directly from behind as well. When we got out there, I think it was probably 20 gusting upwards, and it was directly on the beam, and then the swell was on the beam as well. So that was a surprise. Yeah, it was pretty rough. Like we were looking at the swell, and we think like at some points it was getting up to like 3 or 4 meters. Like it was, yeah, it was pretty hairy out there. So I think we did about 15 hours of sailing, and we made like pretty good grounds. We were getting up to like 8 knots at some point, and then the wind just completely died. We went down to like 0 knots. So we've been motoring now for I think about 12 hours. We're going to get into Cartagena Marina, I think, in about 3 hours' time, which is actually a really nice city, and they have the best pizza I've ever tasted in my life. So I'm not entirely disappointed that we've ended up motoring here.
Here we enter into Cartagena Bay, and Andy is pointing out several of these interesting and sort of hidden ancient structures and caves along these mountain cliffs. As we're coming in, we're going to go to a marina, and as a lot of you know, and they even have commented, that you have to do the Mediterranean mooring here in this region. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to have Andy talk to us about it and how it works, because I know a lot of you have shown interest, thinking it's very difficult and very foreign from what we're used to in the US.
So when we go into this marina, we have what you traditionally get in the Mediterranean, where you reverse into the spot. You moor up to the quay wall, and then you take a ground line to the front of the boat, typically called med mooring. This is probably a little bit higher class than in some places, where you're getting some places like Greece, where you have like town managed marinas, for example. Is you'll actually drop your anchor about two boat lengths in front of the space that you're about to reverse into. Once you get up to the quay wall, you'll whack on quite a lot forward. You'll moor up to the quay wall, then you'll then go to the front of the boat, and then you'll put the tension on your anchor at the front. So we basically do that in these marinas, but without the anchor. So it's called med mooring, but I don't know which one you'd actually call official med mooring, the one where you use your anchor or this one. So
explain again this one, what they do here.
Yeah, so with this one here, you basically always reverse into your spot. You'd never really go bow in unless you had to because of the wind, but you'll reverse into the spot. We've got our lines ready here to throw to the Marinero, who usually always waits for you in Spain. We've got quite good customer service like that. He will tie us up to the wall. We'll put a little forward throttle on. We'll then take a line, which is usually under the water on the floor, attached off on like a concrete brick or something like that, and then we'll like pull some tension and we'll attach that line onto the bow.
Here's a diagram. Now with med mooring, you have boats tied along this dock wall, or the quay wall as Andy called it. Everyone has their fenders out to prevent damage from the other boats that are tied up right next to them. So you would come into the docking area, you're going to find an open space, and then you're going to reverse into that open space. As you are backing in, you throw out your anchor. Then when you get close to the quay wall, you may get lucky and you'll have someone at the dock that will help you tie your stern lines onto the quay wall. And simultaneously, you need someone on the bow who will pull and tighten the anchor chain. So you essentially have 3 holding points. The 2 dock lines at your stern, and then the anchor is holding your bow. And the sides of the boat are simply held into place by the other boats next to you, which is why everyone has plenty of fenders out. Now the other method that Andy says is more common at the marinas that he has visited in Spain is slightly easier. The other boats are still with their stern next to the quay wall, but with this method the marina has already situated a ground line, or you may hear it called a slime line because it's all gross and slimy from being submerged underwater. The line is going to be anchored to the ocean floor with a mooring block, and it's also affixed to the quay wall. And like I said, the line is under the water, resting on the ocean floor, with the only part visible being this end here, which is tied to the wall. So you come into the marina, you'll find your open space, and you'll reverse in just like we did before. And this time, when you get close to the quay wall, you use a boat hook or whatever to grab the slime line, while at the same time, you need to tie on your stern lines to the wall. Once you have a hold of the slime line, you walk yourself up to the bow, keeping a hold of that ground line the whole time, and then you tie the ground line to your bow. One thing I forgot to mention, but it should be obvious, you'll need to put plenty of fenders out before you start reversing into the space. So that's how it's supposed to go, and we were all excited to show you this, but well, it didn't really happen like this for us on this day. Anyway, you'll see shortly.
Yeah, so we've got about 16 knots of wind on the bow, which will be fine if we can reverse in towards the wind, but if the Marinero wants us to reverse in away from the wind, that could get pretty interesting. So yeah, 17 knots on the bow when you try and reverse it to a spot makes it pretty tough. Hello, yacht park Cartagena. We are approaching the entrance to the marina now. Over.
The marina worker rushes over to help us tie up. Andy starts reversing in toward the docks.
Okay, there he is coming our way. Other side. Oh, other side.
Okay.
See.
And yeah, it's at this point we realize all that prep for med mooring was for nothing, because this marina has your typical dock fingers that you can tie to after pulling in bow first. Ah well, it was fun explaining the process to you nonetheless.
Oh, I think that other guy's bowing.
Oh yeah, you can go that way.
Oh, never mind then. Oh, he has fingers. Oh,
It's a finger.
it's a finger. Hold on, go down.
Nice job by Andy pulling into the slip, and then I kill my shin when I scrape it super hard on the lifeline.
We gotta get a bow line, I guess, huh? Oh, shit. Mother. Gracias.
Okay. Boat.
Sí.
Okay.
¿Cómo se llama?
Jose.
Jose, Josh.
Josh.
Mucho gusto.
Nice to meet you.
Bueno.
You?
Andrew. Good to see you. Come over there, yeah? Into the office.
So we've just arrived to Cartagena, and Andrew says it's one of his favorite places in all of Spain.
It's very pretty.
But nice combination of historic, very kind of almost ruins, and all kinds of really cool stuff. mixed in with some of the more modern stuff. But yeah, I'll just show you right here. There's like all these very interesting, like huge high walls. Wow. So this place is, Andy says it's the best pizza he's ever had in his life. Let's go try it out.
Yeah, this is the best pizza I've ever eaten in my entire life. Specifically that one with extra bacon. The meat parmigiano.
Okay.
And then this is a white truffle base with, I think those are like little raspberry bits.
Mozzarella cheese, truffle oil, some raspberry little pieces, caramelized onions. I will agree with Andy. This is like the best I've ever had in my life. Really interesting history of this town. I hadn't heard much about Cartagena before coming here. Obviously, I've heard of Cartagena, Colombia. But actually, now that I'm here in Cartagena, Spain, it's a very large town. It's the main port for the Spanish Navy. Here at the marina, you have a big cruise ship behind me. It's become a popular cruise destination. But what's really interesting about this place, the history is incredible. So going back in a million years ago, they found remains of the Neanderthal people throughout these caves, literal cavemen. So you saw when we came into the port, there's all these caves along the cliff sides and throughout, I guess, this region of the mountains. But it was really a thriving ground for cavemen way back a million years ago. And then it was about 200 BC when the town was first settled, and has been developed an interesting, fascinating, complex history since that time, with Roman rule at one time. There is Moorish, Muslim heritage here because of the Muslim rule at one time. And you'll see throughout the city that some of the businesses will have the Arabic and the writing, so there's that influence. Just like a lot of the cities in this region, like Granada, Spain, which has the influence coming over from Morocco and the Muslim influence. But a couple of points before we walk around. First of all, it's really nice to be in a marina. One of the things when you're cruising on a sailboat, and many of you will know this, but if you do, this channel, I think my goal is to cater to not only people who have had years of cruising experience, but new people in the industry or who want to get into the hobby and the lifestyle. So you're out in the ocean, in the islands and different things, seeing beautiful sights, and you're anchoring a lot of times because it's most affordable, it's free. So you're anchoring at these locations, and it's when you're on a boat like most people have, like Andy and what I had from the previous, what I have now, it's a very minimal lifestyle. And my shower would consist, on Andy's boat, my shower is like I take a couple of little bowl, like essentially a cereal bowl with water, fill it up with water, first rinse down with the water, second bowl of water is to soap down, third bowl of water is to rinse off the soap. That's it, and it's not hot water either. So the point is, it's really nice to get into a marina and wash up, have a hot shower, bathroom facilities, be able to sort of clean up and feel like you're actually, not going out in the town, but actually cleaning up to walk around town and see some civilized, and become civilized again. So I highly suggest, if you can, when you're out there cruising, and you can afford it, at least like once a week, maybe a little less if you can stand it, but once a week, getting into a marina and just getting that completely, that feeling of civilization again, where you can have a nice warm shower and all that. So that's what we're doing for the night here in Cartagena. It's kind of a hidden gem, so I definitely recommend Cartagena. But let's take a walk around the city. I want to show you some of the sights before we get back on the boat. And then today our plan of action is to head a little further south to Cabo de Gata, which is supposed to be a beautiful little cove. But first, let's go check out Cartagena and do a quick walk around and show you what it has to offer. So let's check it out. Thanks for watching. Join us next week when we sail down the coast to explore a hippie beach. I'll leave you with some more drone shots from Cartagena. See you next week.